everyone, in this video we will going to discuss about the steps and procedures of cable termination for straight through and crossover cable. But before that, let us enumerate first those tools and materials needed for the cable termination. First is the unshielded twisted pair cable. It is the most common cable used in computer networking. Second is the modular connector or the RJ45 connector. It is an 8-pin or 8-position plug used for Ethernet networking. Third is the wire stripper, which is used to remove the outer jacket of the wire. And the last tool needed is the crimping tool, which is used to crimp UTP cable RJ45 connector. So now let's proceed to the steps and procedures. First step is to cut a length of cable, meaning you have to get your cable and just cut the length you will use using the crimping tool. This is to ensure that the ends of the conducting wires are even. Second is to strip off the jacket. Strip off approximately 1 inch of the cable's jacket using a wire stripper. But of course, be careful not to damage the inner conducting wires. Third step is to separate the wires, meaning you have to separate 4 twisted wire pairs from each other. After separating those wires, proceed to the step 4, which is to untwist the wires. Untwist each pair so that you end up with 8 individual wires. When you already come up with 8 individual wires, it's time for you to organize and flatten the wires. In this topic, we are talking about the cable termination of the straight-through cable and the crossover cable. These two have the same procedures but different ways of organizing the wires. In straight-through cable, both ends of the cable have the same termination standards or same arrangement on the colors of wires. As we can see on the picture, white-orange comes first, followed by orange, white-green, blue, white-blue, green, white-brown, and lastly the brown. This arrangement is what we call the TIA-EIA 568B. TIA-EIA means Telecommunications Industries Association or Electronic Industries Association. On the other side, crossover has different ends of cable, meaning the termination standards or arrangement of its color of wirings are different. At the one end of the cable, 568A wiring is used. It is where white-green proceeds, followed by green, white-orange, blue, white-blue, orange, white-brown, and lastly the brown. On the other end of the cable, 568B wiring is used, similar to that used in straight-through, where white-orange comes first, followed by orange, white-green, blue, white-blue, green, white-brown, and lastly the brown. While you are organizing the wires, don't forget to flatten it as much as possible since they need to be very straight for proper insertion into the connector. Then after you organize and flatten those wires, it's time for you to clip them. Using the crimping tool, make a straight cut across the wires ½ inch from the cut sleeve to the end of the wires. Make sure you cut it evenly. Then when the cutting is done properly, you need to insert wires into RJ45 connector, meaning you have to carefully insert the wires into the connector so that the flattened wires would not disorganize. After inserting the wires, you have to push them in so that each wire would fit into a slot in the RJ45 connector. Then after that, you have to inspect the color code of your wires. Check if the arrangement of your wires is correct and well placed so that it would not cause any problem with the connection. Then after inspecting the color code of your wires, you have to crimp down the wires, meaning you have to insert the prepared connector in your crimping tool and firmly squeeze the crimper's handle together until you can't get enough. This is to ensure that the wires would not loose inside the connector. Then after that, You have to repeat the steps for the other end of the cable following the color codes of the two cables. Then lastly, you have to inspect both ends of the cable to check whether the arrangement are correct and the wires are properly inserted. So those are the steps and procedures of cable termination of straight through and crossover cable. Thank you for watching!